You are listening to the BlahCade podcast. I'm your host, Chris Freebus, aka Shut Your Trap. Joining me as always, halfway across the world, Jared Morgan.
Hello.
Hey,
It's been a while. Well, it feels like it.
it has been a while. Apparently, among the things that want to, die and be killed in Australia is your internet.
Yeah, my internet does indeed enjoy being killed off because it's a feature of the NBN. It's a notional broadband network. It sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't. And in this case, it didn't for 2 months. The reason being is that some numpties at the NBN Co decided to repatch us into a whole set of different ports on the node that we're connected to. And yeah, it's completely screwed up the entire neighborhood. So slow clap. Good work, NBN. Well done. Yeah, you had one job, connect the cable back into the right socket. Can't even do that right.
It's impossible. I've been through that years ago when I dared to switch. If you people want to know how long this ago this was, I was on Earthlink, which I know that makes no sense to you, Jared, but yeah, in the States, they were a hot up and coming internet company at the time that AOL was king.
Oh, wow. And disruptors.
Yeah, and they were hot to trot and doing all sorts of really good things, and so I was really happy with their service, and I was really not all that thrilled with my actual phone service, and they offered this whole thing of being able to switch over to their own phone, so it's a VoIP phone service.
Yeah,
and then they'll shut off your phone. Well, they kind of did it in the wrong order or something. Shut off the one before turning on the other, and then they couldn't turn on the other because the other was turned off because this is all DSL based.
Oh, right, yeah.
And we were without phone or internet, and this is pre-smartphone.
Oh, wow. So basically, you're completely disconnected.
Yes. So without phone or internet for an entire month.
Oh, wow.
And that was also during, I think it was the month of November. So it was like, holiday stuff, and it was
horrible.
It was pretty horrible. So I can imagine what it must be like for you to when so many devices connect to the internet beyond just your phone, and then they're void of it.
It's very frustrating because both Kim and I, my wife, we do work from home during the week. So out comes the phone, out comes the tethered hotspot, burning through the mobile data at a rapid rate of knots. Trying to actually connect into work so I can actually do my work from home, which I need to do with Sienna. And we would have burned through, I think, because we realized that we had unstable internet since about 11th of July, because that's when they did the port switch over, and they realized they balked it really bad. So they did a workaround at what they call the pillar, which is the node. And they did some jiggery pokery there to get it working temporarily. And then when they had to go back and do it properly, they completely screwed it up. So we were sitting here for 2 weeks, basically with zero internet and about a month and a half with dicey internet. So internet that kept on dropping out and not linking through, and just generally sort of unreliable. And the reason why we're burning through so much data is because the phones are smart, of course. They go, oh, well, you need a connection. Well, your Wi-Fi connection is technically on, but no internet. So I'll switch on 4G for you, and you'll be seamless. You won't even notice. You'll be fine. Great experience, except when you're paying for data.
Yep.
And so we burnt, Kim would have burned through over the course of last month about 10 gig.
Oh my gosh.
Mobile data. And I had to switch plans midway from Via to Belong, which is through our major carrier over here, Telstra. They're like an MVNO, but they're owned by Telstra, and they're actually pretty good. You get for us over here, it's pretty good. We get 5 gig for I think about $30.
Okay.
And you get unlimited calls and all that. So, and you can bank your data too. So after all the shenanigans is over, I'll be banking probably about 3 gig of data each month, up to 50 gig. So I'm going to be set for ages.
Nice.
So I guess it was kind of good because it made us rethink our mobile plans and stuff like that. But Yeah, it's not good at all. So I'm going to have to now contact my ISP, who will then have to contact NBN code because they're wholesalers and say, look, I want 2 months of internet
Right.
like reimbursed for me because this is rubbish.
Yeah.
So fun times ahead for me.
The most fun part that I had with my whole experience was dealing with the customer service, because all their customer service was handled through India,
Oh, right.
and which was, typical, right? Except for
Yeah,
the fact that I would get through probably within 5 minutes.
that's good.
I would explain real quickly what my situation was. And after my first time dealing with this, I had then a trouble ticket. I would give them a
Yeah.
trouble ticket number. And then I'd be proceeded to put on hold for, on average, a half an hour. The
Wow.
longest I was on hold for was 1 hour. And a lot of times it was about 45 minutes before I'd finally get to talk to somebody. And then I
Wow.
would, and then I would get to talk to them. And of course, I'm having to do this on a work cell phone because
Oh, right.
I had no other phone to do this with. And they would kept on being like, well, can you test the phone at your home?
It's
And I'd be like,
no.
well, not only would I be saying no, but I'd also be like, it doesn't work. You can't test anything because it's been disconnected.
Yeah, it's just a comedy of
Yeah.
errors.
And my wife just reminded me, they tried calling my wife to set up an appointment.
On what?
Exactly. So here's where it really gets fun. So finally get a technician. Oh, the back and forth between technicians was nightmare.
A
But
story
we finally,
within itself.
oh god, this story is epic.
Yeah.
But we finally get a technician to come out to the house, and I'm talking with the technician, and he's like, okay, well, I need to make an appointment with your local phone company. I'm like, great. And he goes, well, no, because I got to do it through my dispatcher. I'm like, okay, what's the problem with that? Dispatcher's in India.
Okay.
So literally the two of us could be standing there talking to each other, and we could not make an appointment with each other because
we had to go through the dispatcher.
we have to go through this dispatcher, and everything had to be routed through India. And so the amount of time it took to do anything, and not on top of that, there was, the language barrier.
Yeah.
And so things weren't quite being communicated in the manner that they needed to be communicated because they didn't quite make sense to whoever was writing it down. Yeah, it was glorious. And
Wow.
let's just say I complained so hard on okay, ready for how old this is? On MySpace.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I had a 3-part blog about this whole adventure that I wound up getting contacted personally by Earthlink. They had read it, were horrified by it, and were wondering if there was anything they could do to make it better. Unfortunately, this was 2 weeks after I'd finally got my phone hooked up again, back with my original carrier.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was the other thing. The original carrier couldn't hook the phone back up because I had said that I was going with a different carrier.
Yeah, and it was locked.
And it was locked, and I would have to get a hold of the carrier to get them to release it.
And they couldn't release it because they screwed it up totally on their end.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. It was just a horrendous comedy of errors.
Man. That is just terrible. It makes me feel a bit better about the NBN because, I mean, in this, in the age we live in now, it's actually not super bad. You still can get access to the internet. But, back then, you were high and dry. And if you didn't have a phone as well, like, what do? You can't do anything. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
So, I feel for you, man. I know. I can imagine.
Well, that's why I understand exactly what you're going through, where it's just like, oh, please.
Make it stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're back online. And the reason why they did the work to start with was because in our telephone pits in the street, they have these things called unions inside the pits, and they join the cable pairs between like each sort of stretch of cable, and they were known to be a bit dodgy. We have what they call rotten copper in our pits, which usually requires a tech to come out every year and repatch us through to a new pair. So what they've done is they've replaced these unions in all the pits leading to the node. So the upside of it all is that we should have a pretty good stability moving forward now with the copper. So, because NBN is silly in the fact that we have plain old telephony service or POTS all the way up to the house, but we connect to the node by the copper, and then from the node, it's all fiber optic.
Yeah.
So using like 70-year-old tech to connect to 20-year-old tech.
Right.
So
yeah.
What could possibly go wrong there?
Nothing.
Anyhow,
Absolutely.
no.
Yeah. So if you're wondering, folks, what any of this has to do with pinball, it doesn't. It's just why we haven't had a podcast in 2 weeks.
That's right. So there's your 10-minute justification for why we haven't had a podcast. So please enjoy.
Yeah. Did you miss us? No, because there's not much to talk about in the pinball world.
There really isn't. Like
to the point that I read a thread this morning, or a comment this morning where the person was going, okay, so me personally, I had said that Whoa Nelly was 95% done and Big Buck Hunter was on the way. And that was a month ago. They're like, so it's been 5 months since Farsight has made a release. Come on, guys, what's the deal? And how is Farsight even going to survive this? And my response was, Zen hasn't released a table in 4 months. Are you worried about them?
Yeah, exactly.
Just curious, And in the meantime, it's not like we haven't known what Farsight's doing. They kind of launched on the Switch, redid all the storefronts, put out the Arcuda pinball cabinet version, have been updating that. Apparently, quite a lot of patches have been going on, and the threads of the people that have been complaining, upon the initial release, are now the comments that I've been reading is, oh, it's so much better. Oh, I'm loving what they're doing. They're responding to everything that we're asking for. It's, not instantaneously coming through, but things are trickling in that are benefiting everybody. So it's like things are happening. They are working thing. And on top of that, they've been working on the certain Pinball Arcade VR version.
Yeah.
There's
lots of stuff that is going on.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily... The thing is that they're not really doing a lot of broadcast, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
They're not telling a lot of people what they're doing. Like in this, I guess that's the only thing that's different. They're not sending out a monthly newsletter with a lot of juicy stuff in it because there's not a lot to talk about. It's all kind of... It's not so much it's not game release stuff. It's just more that it's not as, I guess, attractive to tell your customers about that a DLC is.
Well, no, somebody else pointed out, gee, I wonder how many seasons Farsight sold right up there until June 30th. I'm sure that was a small influx of cash for them.
I have a feeling there was as well, that we know there was plenty of panic buying.
Yeah.
Plenty of ill-informed multi-platform panic buying happening.
Yeah.
So they would have probably had a little bit of extra cash to bump them up there after they minus all the licensing fees and minus all the other stuff. So I've noticed that they've got a tournament running at the moment on mostly Gottliebs. So there's old and new Gottliebs in there. I played it. I did it on Steam because I wanted to play some of those games I haven't touched, like Rescue 911 and what was the other one in the tournament? I think it was that's Alvin G, Pistol Poker.
Oh yeah,
that thing. Like really, okay. It was actually a 5-minute tournament too, which is interesting.
Oh,
so they did a 5-minute version of it, and it's pretty interesting to see how far you can get in Rescue 911 in 5 minutes. Like you can actually get up to Life Force in 5 minutes. And I think that's the key to getting a really high score in that. You've got to basically just keep starting those modes as soon as you can. You get up to Life Force, complete Life Force, and get your billion. And then you'll be fine. That's pretty much all you can do to get up to a big score in that in 5 minutes. So I managed to get about 500 million in that time. So, yeah. But all the other tables, they're pretty low scorers. So it's sort of interesting to see how that would be, what the scores will shake down to be. In the 5-minute tournament format.
Here's the genius of Zen doing their custom tournaments, with what I do. Well, except for what I didn't do last week because I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
But doing the weekly tournaments, they keep data on the tournaments that are created and how many people join in on those tournaments and all that stuff. And they just kind of made a quick tweet about how the current meta of popularity is one ball, one attempt tournaments.
One ball, one attempt.
One ball, one attempt. Yeah. I was just like, brutal. And the last tournament we ran was on Shaman, which, okay, you recall last podcast we ragged on those 4 Zen tables.
Yes, we did.
I will say Shaman is not terrible. It's got a very wonky positioning for an inline drop target scenario. I don't like the fact that in order to start the mode, you literally have to shoot into a hole that lowers the ramp, the jump ramp, then jump onto the mini play field, and then clear all the drop targets, and then shoot back, let the ramp rise up, and then shoot back up into the center to spell chaos in order to start the mode.
That's what? That's how you start a single mode on that game? No wonder I didn't do any good in that game.
It's like, wow, that's a very complicated sequence of events that has to happen.
Jeez.
And so as such, and the tournament I set up was a one ball tournament. You know, most people's scores, the high scores were, well, I mean, if I'm looking at these, let's see, 5th place was 13 million, 4th place was 14 million, 3rd place was 15 million. And then there was a jump up to 53 million for 2nd place. And then I don't know what the heck this dude was doing on one ball, scored 362 million.
Jeez. Far out. He must have just committed to muscle memory the motion to get the mode started.
I don't even know how to actually earn a good score on that table is still a mystery to me. I literally do not know how to, where any of the scoring is.
Is it about multi-balls or
no? Well, that's the other thing. There's no multi-ball on this thing.
There isn't.
You can shoot a ball and get it like up this trick ramp or the Shaman Trickster ramp. It'll light, and when the ball goes up on that particular thing, a little thing comes out and grabs your ball, and then a ball is immediately released. But it doesn't lock the ball.
Okay.
I'm like, why is there no multi-ball on this table? That's just silliness.
It is.
If you have a mechanism that is essentially capturing a ball,
what does it do with it?
What does it do with it? So there's those things that very much make me scratch my head. But the coloring of the table and the layout of the table, other than that wonky
inline drop
target, is very playable. So it's not that bizarre. But the rule, like I said, to go through that many steps just so you can do something is stupid.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, remind me never to play that game because I would not have the patience to go through all the modes and just keep chipping away to get the modes started because maybe that's the secret to the game. Maybe they're so hard to start that they're so lucrative when you actually get into them.
Yeah.
But you know what it'd be for me? I get into it and I'd just like draw a ball out immediately, basically. Yeah. And it'd be game over.
Yeah. But the point is I find it interesting that, Zen is very much paying attention, apparently,
to the metrics.
To the metrics.
Yeah,
and
that's really good to see.
It's something that Farsight, I think, could desperately use. Because I don't think there's I know that they can pull data from the game, but I don't know how detailed of data they can pull from the game.
I think they can. They
can pull how long people are playing a particular table and how often or how many times a table is played. But beyond that, I don't think that there's that many things that they're able to pull because this is the problem with your game being locked behind emulation.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have the keys to the city.
No.
To get the data. I mean, they would know, obviously, how many people participated in the tournament because they have that count.
Sure, and they might be able to, they probably, because of their leaderboards, they can figure out, what is the average score that's happening on a table. But they're never going to be able to know, how difficult is a particular ramp. because of how many times people are shooting a particular ramp, how many times is the ramp rejecting the ball. Whereas I'm sure Zen can pull up all that data real easily because I'm sure it's built in.
Yeah, because they're essentially not scripting, but they have their own game logic engine that allows them to, well, pretty much pick out anything they want or need in the game.
Well, you think about it. There's a particular bonus that you can do that's distance traveled of the ball.
Yeah, true. That's like the how would you even calculate that?
That's what I'm saying. It's baked into the design of the game.
Yeah, and things like they can basically inject things like extra ball save time into the game with the power-ups. It's like essentially they're plugins into the core game framework that override some of the core game elements, or track them. So it's like they would probably have a very interesting metric. I wonder if they could tell us how many how many times around the moon have people played Shaman in its life, or since Zen Pinball 3, because that's when they would have had the tracking metric. It'd be really interesting to see some of those
I think they've had this metric for a while, because if I recall playing original Zen Pinball on the PS3, you could pull out all sorts of wacky stats.
Oh, really?
That you could look up. Yeah.
So they probably have, we probably would have traveled probably to Uranus by now, and maybe making our way back to Earth with the amount of kilometers that we've traveled. But they should measure it in light years.
if we could ever get anybody from Zen, to come onto our show, then I think we have some interesting things to ask them.
Yeah, that's definitely one for the questions with notice sheet, I think.
Yeah.
Get some interesting stats, because
I don't know. We're gonna have to brush up on our Hungarian first, or Czech. I'm not sure. Where are they? Hungary?
Hungary, yeah. They're Budapest. Yeah. So I think so. That's where they're. I think they call it their core offices, but of course they have a US office. And
but that's not where they're doing it. They're designing or basically the US office is it's a guy in a shed.
Well, it's one of the guys there is Mel Kirk. I follow him on Twitter, and you see him living the life. He's the, what is his title? His title is the head of. He's a head of something. I think he's like the head of. He's the one who negotiates things, I think. Head of the negotiations.
Oh, for licensing purposes?
I think so, yeah. So that's what he does in the US.
Well, that makes sense. I mean,
because that's where the movie studios are.
Yeah. So
he's a nice guy.
I would say there's a language barrier, except for the language barrier is, here in the US, we learn one language and we quit. Whereas I know in Europe, you pretty much know like 5. So
yeah, it's crazy over there. Like they are so multilingual over in there. Like the guys in, I know that when I was working at Red Hat, we had some guys in Brno in the Czech Republic, and these guys were just fine with English. In fact, there were people over there who were doing technical writing for Red Hat, writing English manuals over there in the Czech Republic. So like their command of the English language is excellent.
Yeah,
and they're also very technically focused over there as well. Like they're in the Czech Republic in general, they're quite tech savvy. So not only were they technical, but they could actually speak and write English quite proficiently. So they're double threats over there.
So here's a question that I don't know the answer to, and you obviously will. So in Australia, you're going through the school system, and it's time for second language class. What are the languages? What's the popular second language that people learn?
Well, at the moment, in primary school, both of my kids are learning Italiano.
Italian, okay.
Yeah, so that's what's happening at the moment. But I think in the higher years, they actually get Japanese.
I was going to say, I would imagine that it's Japanese or Chinese for you guys.
Chinese or Japanese, yeah. Mandarin. Mandarin's quite popular in the higher years. And certainly Japanese is too. I know my wife, when she was over in New Zealand in the school system over there, they were exposed to Japanese over there. And when she graduated, I think it was high school, she was speaking with the proficiency of an 8-year-old
Wow.
in Japanese language. So she was able to have a conversation with someone under 10, basically. Because Japanese is that hard that they actually have language layers in there. So they have conversational. Then they have language layers and tiers, but then they have slang derivatives, and then they have business formal, and then honorific formal. And it's like, wow.
At least she could communicate,
And she still retains some of the language that she learned. Like, she can understand some stuff, whereas I'm starting to remember some of the Italian, because I did Italian when I was in primary school as well. I was actually really good at it. And now that Zachary's coming home and speaking Italian words, I can start to pick them up again. They're coming back from my little memory orbs, like in Inside Out. They're just being dusted off from the memory archive and then spun up into my little projector again whenever he says some words. So it's kind of cool to revisit it.
See, because here, obviously in Southern California, Spanish is the big one.
That makes a lot of sense. In fact, that's really useful.
Right. Except for the fact that Spanish isn't useful for business people.
Oh, right, yeah, true.
They're planning on doing international business. French was always very popular, but again, it's like, why?
Yeah.
The
interesting thing, if you get a base in French, you can pretty much learn any other European language, because the way they're structured is quite similar.
Right. German used to be a thing, but it's way lost favor, at least in California. I know if you're in the Midwest, it's still very prominent, because there's a large German culture.
German was definitely something that we did in high school. So it was Italian in primary school and German in high school.
But for sure, Mandarin has popped up as a language that you can study. And I'm not sure if Japanese also has gained prominence. But yeah, it's
both. I guess both use glyphs, so the language is glyph based, so that's good. I think, I don't know, Mandarin, I think, is a little bit easier to learn than Japanese, because you've got kanji, katakana, and romanji. So you've got 3 different types you got to learn in Japanese, where I think it's Mandarin is just either simplified Chinese or Mandarin where you have to learn it. So you can start relatively accessibly and get into it, from what I understand. I may be wrong. If there's any Mandarin speakers out there, you can send us an email and tell us that we're wrong, and tell us how you could get started learning Mandarin.
And then if you speak Cantonese, you can come in and really just mess with our heads.
Indeed.
That used to always trip me out with the when I'd get a Hong Kong movie with subtitles, and there'd also be, I just went, why are there Chinese subtitles also? And they're like, oh, well, no, if the movie was in Mandarin, then they put Cantonese subtitles, and if it was in Cantonese, and they put Mandarin subtitles. And I'm like, wow.
It's far out. It's like basically the whole screen is just full of subtitles, basically over the picture.
Yeah. Hey, I do want to tell you folks out there, Jared and I have signed brand new NDAs with a new company, previous from any company that we already had NDAs with. However, to tell you who that company is would be spoiling the NDA. So
we can tell you that we have, but we can't tell you who or what.
Exactly.
So there you go.
All right, so that's our podcast for today. I did cross a threshold here, Jared, in my Pinball Tournaments app.
Oh, did you?
I passed the $50 one.
$50 one? And what does that mean? Do you get to cash out your winnings?
I could.
Yeah.
But my point is that I've not put one dime into this app.
All right. So you've got $50 out of vapor, basically.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna, see if I can kick that up to $100, and maybe let's see. It's only taken me 6 months to earn this much. So how much before I can earn enough to buy a real pinball machine?
When you're 90. Yeah, that's a
That would
long
be
march to $50.
for me. For me, that would be the absolute, though, ultimate, to be able to say that by playing a digital pinball app that I won enough to buy a real physical machine. It's almost as good as when I was serving jury duty, and at the same time, while I was, in the juror. Well, you don't know this, but
The stamp, the juror's stamps.
when we get called into jury duty, before you're even placed on a jury, you're in the juror's pool, which is where,
Yes.
a couple hundred of you are just sitting there waiting to see if you get. And so they always have stations set up. Again, this was before Wi-Fi was a thing. So it was, if you wanted to use the internet, you had to bring your own LAN cable and plug in, or Ethernet cable and plug in, and away you go, right? And so while I was doing jury duty, I was doing online traffic school at the same time. And that to me was just the ultimate in wins, because
neither of these paid to learn.
Well, to learn. Traffic school is hardly what you learn, what I call learning, but it was neither thing did I want to be doing, but I was getting a perverse joy out of doing both of them at the same time. So
it felt good, man.
It felt good. So that would be the exact same feeling here, as if I was able to somehow accelerate my earnings in this, which I could accelerate them. Right now, I'm only playing the matches that at most win me 60 cents.
Right.
As opposed to if I played the matches that win me $6 per turn.
I think you need to change your strategy.
Just imagine. The problem is there's not that many people that, when I say not that many, there's like 2 people that play at that level. And if I beat them too often, then I won't be playing against them anymore. So
because I know that you're good.
Yeah. No, because I bust out of the algorithm.
Oh, right. Okay.
There's literally, there's 2 other players that I play against right now that the only way that we can play against each other, what it offers you is if you lose, you can request a rematch. But you're only able to request 2 rematches for any given period of time. Right. There's like a cool-off period. And so that's all we do, is we just play. That's how we were playing with each other, is just by purely asking for rematches, because it never pairs us with us when you're against each other, and I'm not getting matched up with anybody beyond that. So
that's really terrible. Yeah. Like the problem is when you're up at the top end of anything, that the air is rarefied up there, so you get nothing. So you really got quite a battle to try and enjoy the game at that level.
Yeah. So I'm saving my $10 expenditures for when now and then the tournament allows you to actually, if you place in the top 3, you'll actually win a money amount. Above and beyond what you would just earn for winning the match itself. And the competition gets rather fierce when that actually happens. And so I save the money to be able to do the $10 drops on that, because you can quickly jump up the ranks or recapture a spot by just winning one match. So
I can just imagine the clickbait title we could get for this strategy of getting your pinball machine from a digital app. You won't believe the 10 steps I took to get to get up to $8,000 just by playing pinball online.
You know what it reminded me of? I don't know if you ever heard the story of the guy that traded a paperclip for a house.
Yes, I did hear that. Yeah, that is genius.
So what was that thing called? Just one red paperclip or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
For those of you that don't know the story, this guy determined that he wanted a house, and he figured he could barter for it. And it all started with a red paperclip, and he just threw it out. I don't even know what system he used. It wasn't Craigslist or anything, but or maybe it was, I'm not sure. But it was like, what will you trade me for my red paperclip? And somebody traded him a pen, and then from the pen he just kept on upping and upping and upping, and until it started being, he was bartering cars for things, and he was always scared of what would he barter for that might just stop dead and nobody wanted the thing that he got.
Yeah.
Where he apparently took a huge risk was he bartered for snow globes.
Snow globes?
Snow globes. And everybody was like, what the heck are you going to do with these snow globes? And he goes, well, they're collector's snow globes. And if I can just find the right person, that's looking for this, they might be willing to part with something much more major.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it put him over a huge hump. And I think it was only 2 or 3 trades after that before he actually bartered for a house.
Wow. It's incredible, isn't
It's
it?
an amazing story. I totally recommend Googling the thing. Like I said, I think it's called One Red Paperclip. Just because it's a fascinating story of what steps this guy went through and what it takes, just with a little gumption, a little know-how, where you can go from there.
His name, it was a Canadian blogger called Kyle McDonald.
Yeah.
And he's written a book. You can buy a book. And he's also got a TED talk. So I will link those.
So in other words, he's parlayed this into a career.
Yeah, and he's a public speaker, and yeah,
that's awesome.
It's really good. Good on him. I have utmost respect for people who can do that.
Yeah,
that's just smarts. That's intelligence right there.
So that's my goal. I want to parlay my winnings from, and I'm using both the Pinball Tournaments app and using Zen's esports app because they all pool into the same money pile.
Oh, right.
So I'm playing those, and that's going to be my goal. So in 10 years, I might be a quarter of the way there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's right. I think the easiest way if you want to actually win a pinball machine, you actually have to go into real tournaments over there. Then you might actually have a chance of winning a real pinball machine. Some of the guys have done it here in Australia. They've gone to tournaments with pinball machines as prizes and have collected.
Yep.
So that's an actual valid, proven way of getting a pinball machine.
I don't know if you saw any of the video that just transpired at Pinburg with, I believe it was Bowen Cairns that won.
No.
There is, and they were playing the final table was Harlem Globetrotters, which is a mean beast of a table, mainly because it has, on one side it's a single flipper, and on the other side it's the double flipper, and it's the kind of double flipper that has no back.
Oh yeah, those are brutal.
He does this amazing thing where he catches it on the upper, lets it fall to the lower, but he caught it with the flipper up and then dropped it before it, so it started to roll back. He dropped the flipper and then it slowly rolled forward, and then he made the shot. I was like looking at this video just going, what did I just witness? That is,
what sorcery is this?
It is insane ball control. Yeah. Absolutely insane.
And that's the level you need to be when you're at this level. Like you need to be able to control that ball like your life depended on it, because it really does in this case. Like you win a pinball machine, the stakes are high.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast where Bowen was on the podcast and he goes, it's funny. Like it kind of feels like, I think he was on talking about Iron Maiden. Mm-hmm. And sort of the path he took to make that, because I think Bowen is the one who actually made Iron Maiden, if my memory serves, because he did it with Archer, his Archer pin. Yeah. So he said, look, it's one of those things where you just sort of, you just walk up to a tournament, you're on the stage. The first time people that get up on the stage at the Papa finals are just like, oh no, I'm on the stage, I'm going to freak out. But he said my approach is like, oh yeah, hey, how you going? I'm here again. I'll just play a game of pinball, I guess. So it's all about your mindset and your attitude for these things. There's actually a pinball tournament that is happening down in Newcastle in September, and it's called Pinfest. And when I heard Pinfest, I thought, oh, you mean the one at Allentown in the US? Because that one's called Pinfest, I think, as well. And I was actually talking to our friend Steve at Arcuda, and he was going, oh, no, it's the one down in Newcastle. And I went, what? There's a tournament down there? And he said, yeah, it's over 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, and it's anyone can go to it. It's just one of those open things where you pay, I think it's like $30 a day to get in, and you get, I think it's something like 70 tables are on free play there. So you just walk in and just fill your boots all day. I think there might be a tournament running down there as well. There usually is on these things. But I was going, oh, see, I missed Brisbane Masters this year because it's sort of like a whole weekend, and I was using that as an excuse not to actually go to the full event. But I'm just wondering. I wonder if I see if I can organise a trip down to Newcastle and then accidentally drop into Arcuda on my way.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
They're in Newcastle as well. So
okay.
They'll be exhibiting at the event. They'll have, I think, maybe Thunderbirds there, as well as Arcuda cabinets, I think, as well. So,
see, I don't even bother trying to enter tournaments because, you know, I do my Orange County pinball tournaments monthly, and I get schooled in it every time. I'm always middle of the pack. You know, I'm not the worst player. I'm nowhere close to the best player. And to me, I'm just like, why would I? It's me handing away money. I'm just turning in my entry fee. There is no chance that I'm going to do anything amazing with it. So I don't even bother.
Yeah, fair enough. I've done all right the last couple of times. I've been at the Brisbane Pinball Club. I've made the finals, and I was very close to getting money one time, but last time I played, I got some money. So, which isn't a bad deal considering that because I'm a scorekeeper, I don't actually have to pay any entry fee.
Okay.
So it is. I often, if I get money, it'll be like I might make it into the first or second round of finals, and like you get, I think, $20 if the pool's pretty big, and that pays for my dinner that I have at Netherworld. So look, you know, win. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, the tables that we're going to play tomorrow for our tournament purposes, it's going to be Ghostbusters, Tommy, Flash Gordon, and Solar City.
Oh, wow.
I don't even know what Solar City is. I'll have to look that up.
Solar City is basically the same as El Dorado.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And then Flash Gordon, oh boy.
Yeah, I played that game. It's really brutal.
I've still don't have a handle on Ghostbusters, and Tommy, I haven't done terribly on it, but I've also got schooled on it. So
it's one of those tables. It's got a really tight mode start shot on it, and it's a rather brutal to get sometimes. So yeah, that's an interesting one to try and get a decent score on. You can have like you say, a really good game on it, or you just get totally done on it. Flash Gordon, though, it's the biggest thing I found with that one is the kick up and the kick out from the upper to lower playfield is the risky part. And there's a really, I think on the right-hand side, you've got like a set of drop targets that are in line, and they are where you get your extra ball, but they're really risky to get.
Right, because if you miss them, it's straight down the middle kind of action.
It's brutal action. Yeah, so you got to really know how to control the ball out of that that stack to actually have any decent luck. But really, it's just keep the ball on the upper playfield as much as you can, and that's generally a safe approach to that one.
Did you see the Stern announcement with Deadpool for their next day?
Yes, I saw it. And
so I'm kind of bummed about one aspect, though. I know that it's not related to the movie. This is purely based on the comics. But now when I play Zen's Deadpool, the voice just sounds weird because I'm sorry, but Ryan Reynolds does an amazing job of being Deadpool. It just that's how it works. And so then when I hear the voice in Zen's, I just kind of go, bummer. Well, Stern hired the exact same guy to do their table.
They did?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, yes.
I'm like, oh, man.
Well, that's okay, because then it'll sound exactly the same. You won't have any stand envy. I can't believe they hired the same bloke. I guess Ryan didn't want to do custom voice for it.
Well, because they don't want to be tied into the movie.
Yes, because it isn't actually the movie; it's a comic.
Yeah,
and that's exactly where Zen went as well. Because
I thought that perhaps Zen made theirs before there was a movie, but I thought perhaps they would just try and maybe get a sound alike
for Ryan Reynolds,
something of that nature. But no, they didn't, and it brings up an interesting thing that I haven't heard a definitive answer on, but I've heard rumor of what the answer is. But it's that could Farsight put out Deadpool in the Stern Pinball app
in digital form?
in digital form? Because Zen already has. Here's the key point: Zen has a license with the Marvel Comics version. This isn't a movie version.
This is
and Stearns is also Marvel Comics, but it's in a physical form. So obviously physical form is different from digital form, so therefore not competing products.
Yes.
But you bring that into digital form, and now you are competing with another digital pinball of the exact same name.
Yeah, that's potentially a problem.
I think it's a sticky point.
Yeah, I think
that's what I'm hearing, is that it's a sticky point. And now, here's the other point. Until Farsight figures out how to do the LCD screen, it's a moot point anyway.
Well, apparently they already do know.
Well, until I actually see it in a game released, it's a moot point. It's not even an issue.
Mate, I was playing Ghostbusters on Steam the other day, and all the other tables in the Pinball Arcade were performing just fine. And then this thing loads up, and it's jerky and janky and gross. So, and that's on a modern Stern. So they've got a long way to go to making that emulation framework, because I believe it's actually not direct ROM code in Pinball Arcade. It's emulated.
No, it's emulated.
So they've got a long
if you really
way
want
to
to
go.
play it well, play it in the Stern Pinball app. Everything's better.
It's better. It really is better, and it's almost.
Unfortunately, you have to suffer through the front end to get to the table.
Yeah, you do. You kind of do, and it is terrible. But
and I don't know. There's a thing that I don't understand. I don't understand what Farsight's waiting for. The front end of the Stern Pinball app on Switch, beautiful. I love it. It's great.
Ship it.
Why has that not been implemented on PC? Why is it not implemented on PS4 and Xbox One?
They're probably going to deprecate. They're going to get rid of the Steam version of Stern Pinball for sure. Yeah. And they're going to basically, that's going to go, and it's going to be mobile only for sure. You can almost put money on it that's what's going to happen. So they're just going to keep on sucking all the Stern titles back into Pinball Arcade, because let's be honest, there's a bit of a lack of tables happening for Pinball Arcade at the moment. So they need content for the platform. So, they're going to be sucking them back into there, but they really need to do some work on just the Stern that Ghostbusters table in particular. I played on mobile. I played Star Trek, and it was really good, smooth. Really
AC/DC, nice. Same thing. Mustang, same thing.
Yeah, but there's something about Ghostbusters. I don't know what it is, but it is just no good.
Yeah.
And yeah, that doesn't bode well, because I think that is a crossover game between a Spike and White Star, or whatever they're Sam White. Spike and Sam. So they're two frameworks. So if they're putting on video, I mean, I remember someone commenting about how they're going to do video in the Stern tables, and the fact that it's just essentially like a rolling video with stuff overlaid over the top.
Right.
And I was watching some of the videos in things like Batman and stuff like that. And yes, you could sort of say that is what it is at a very base level, but there's still a lot of stuff going. There's a layer of integration on that video screen that would take a toll on emulation as well. Like, there's no doubt that it would actually, essentially, your picture-in-picture view of the DMD running a video stream plus overlaid stuff over the top. It's like you've then got 3 layers you're dealing with in the game. So it's not as just quote unquote simple as just running a video stream in a window. It's far more complex than that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen there. I think it's going to be an interesting thing when they start releasing the video screens in the game.
So last bit of pinball information from me. So Pinball Hall of Fame in Las Vegas, they just announced that they purchased a piece of property to the tune of like $4.5 million on the Strip The south end of the strip, which if you've ever been to Vegas, you'll know that the south end of the strip is no man's land.
Oh, right. Okay.
But that's okay. It's still on the strip. And it's
better than their current location, right?
It's better, way better than the current location.
It's actually outside of the strip at the moment, isn't it?
It's off the strip. It's one street perpendicular to the strip, but it's a ways down. And the current building, it's nasty looking. On the outside, it looks like a derelict building.
Warehouse.
It's just it's just not pretty to look at. It has zero flash about it. The very first building that they were in was in a strip mall that had a movie theater, and it had windows, and they had it carpeted with Vegas casino style carpeting, and I really liked the layout. And then the current building that they're in, it just
feels like a dodgy 80s arcade.
Yeah, like not even that. Arcade. Not even dodgy. It's just a concrete box with a whole bunch of machines in it and a corner piled with parts. It's just it's not very attractive.
Not well presented.
But here's the deal with why you gotta love Pinball Hall of Fame. It's a non-profit business. Basically, he's got a grant going for this, and outside of maintenance costs, all the additional profits he donates to, I believe, Salvation Army is his charity of choice.
Oh wow!
But it also allows them, because it's a grant, to pool money. So they've pooled all this money, enough money that they can go ahead and purchase this property. And then what the plans is to build a building worthy of being on the Vegas Strip. They said they want it to look like a pinball machine.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. Like, now, basically crazy Vegas Strip lighting all over the building.
Exactly, which is exactly what it screams to me.
It needs it.
Come on, pinball and neon, that's perfect.
Yeah, totally.
But here's the kicker. The reason why he decided he needed a new building, the current building, I think he has close to 250 machines in it. He's got a warehouse with over 1,000 machines in it.
Yeah.
And he went, you know what? This is not doing me any good. I need a space where I can just dump all my machines.
Yeah.
So that's the idea, to build a space.
Let's have 1,000 machines.
Right. He doesn't want them in his warehouse anymore. He wants them in people's hands. And
well, that's awesome.
Yeah. I am so stoked.
My hat goes off to you, my friend. I cannot wait to see you get it set up.
Oh, when that thing is set up, I will for sure make a trek out to Vegas again just to go do that. I won't even go for any other purpose than to see that place.
To go there.
Yes.
But it's the thing that's concerning me is that at the moment it's well known that they're having trouble keeping up with the maintenance of just the 250 machines on the floor.
Yes, because it's a volunteer basis.
Yeah, so they need to solve that problem first.
Well, but if you're in a flashy, amazing building, maybe you can actually hire a person or two. I don't know. You never know. If you become because that was what the issue with in Banning, where they have the Museum of Pinball. Now they only open their doors
a couple times a year.
4 times a year, maybe. Prior to opening the doors, they put out a big request. Hey, who can come volunteer and get everything up to shape? First time they opened, they had a small army of help, and they said that there were so many tables they never got to. Second time they opened, they got to a lot of those. They said they've pretty much almost gone through all the tables now. And so it's just a matter of time of getting through everything and getting it up and running and going. But I imagine, here's the important part, is this new building, I imagine they'll actually have a workshop. Because
you would think so.
The current building doesn't really have a workshop.
It's on the floor, maintenance on the floor type of thing.
Yeah. So
that's hard. Like, I know how hard it is. Well, both of us know how hard it is to get machines working. And doing it on the floor, I've had to do that a number of times when I've been helping out arcades, and it's horrible to try and get your way around a machine that often people are playing left and right of you, so you can't get down beside the machine. Oh, it's just horrible. So having an area where you can just literally put the thing on a coffin wheeler, like the pinball transporter, and just wheel it into the maintenance area. Yeah, godsend.
And if you have a maintenance area that can house, say, 10 machines,
that's pretty.
So they can be in different various states of completion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be really nice. I'm just thinking like this white room, like with white floors and white
Right.
walls. just so if you drop a part, you can see it on the floor. Like the hardest thing on like a dark floor is seeing old dark screws.
Right.
That are covered in chrome dirt.
Yeah.
Or like solenoid dust. Yeah, it'd be wonderful to work in an environment like that. Yeah.
So anyway,
Well, look,
I'm excited
I
for that.
wish him. I wish him so much. Like, I wonder when it's probably like he'll have to build a facility.
Well, I mean, they still haven't even obviously they haven't even started construction. I think they're looking at 2021,
right?
Something like that.
Because it's not essentially the amount. I would imagine the floor area that they need would be something like a Costco.
Yeah.
In size, like it would be about that size. So that's a non-trivial building to have to build.
Yeah.
So look, yeah, these things move slowly, but geez, man, imagine what this thing's going to look like when it's done.
Oh,
if it's done right, man.
Well, and if he does it the way that I hope he would do it too, is have it divided up into sections. You know, he's got a massive wedge head collection.
Does he?
Yeah. Oh, it's massive. And so just to put those all in one spot, apparently he has a complete Gottlieb collection. Every Gottlieb
all the tables.
Wow. All the tables. So
you could basically call it, you know, you could call it the ozone zone, because that's all it would smell like when you walked into that area. It's just a whole lot of ozone.
Yeah. So I mean, if you can imagine just having a room or a wall or whatever dedicated just to that,
from start to finish, like from in-year order.
When I visited his first location, that's essentially what he had done. He had a row that was nothing but Williams, a row that was nothing but Bally's, and they were in release order.
Chronological order.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Now, the problem with that was that it became lopsided where all the people were. And you want them spread. So I think that's why the way the new building is organized, everything's just mixed up and scrambled. But the problem with that is then it's really difficult to find
what you want. It's essentially like going to a library and going, oh, well, the books are everywhere. So just go and try and find that title that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Like if you want to go and play that Humpty Dumpty, good luck with finding it. In
right.
a 1,000 pinball venue, let alone a 250. I mean, when I went to Pacific Pinball Museum, they had that concept of zones. So they had, when you walk in, it was the ozone zone with all the with all the old EMs buzzing away, and that was a really nice way to actually welcome you in, because it felt like pinball when you walked in there.
Well, that was what Banning did. They had a section that was all EMs, that was like half the floor, and then the other half, they had all of the Data East lined up in a row. They had all the Williams lined up in a row. They had all the Bally lined up. So it was all very sectioned in that manner. They had, it was kind of fun. They had a room that was lit with black light because there was a few tables that look
amazing.
They're almost, and one table was specifically designed for that.
Which was blackout, wasn't it? I think.
No, that wasn't the table they had.
Oh no, Viper Night Driving. It had
Viper Night Driving was definitely a black light table. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, what I remember, well, they also kind of made it as these are the adult pinball machines, because they had Sopranos in there, they had a Stern Playboy in there, they had Big Bang Bar in there, but they looked fantastic under black lights. It was really pretty cool, I got to say.
I think I've seen photos of the Attack from Mars remake playfields, which actually have UV ink on them. And they had those under blacklight, and they just look incredible.
Yeah.
Like the contrast of the colors that you see blacklight on this particular playfield is just looks so good.
So I really think that so long as you have that many tables, that'll spread the people out, and they're not all going to be clumped together. So yeah, anyway. Don't know when that'll be. It'll be a few years off still, but that'll be pretty dang cool.
Because the interesting thing is, with Belly and Williams and Gottlieb, there's actually EMs and early solid states and late model solid states all in those manufacturer eras. So you might find that each of the rows, there's not going to be a lot of people down the early end of the row, but there's still going to be a fairly good spread among the lines if you structure them in lines. that you wouldn't really have too much of a problem getting around. I don't think.
But the fun thing is by having them by release date, you can really all of a sudden you play a table, like let's say and you're like, well, hey, here's all these other tables that I'm not familiar with, but apparently they're released around the same time. Let's try playing them. And all of a sudden you find yourself going, I love this era. This particular year of releases is fantastic. So it is a way of kind of expanding
your knowledge about
and your what you would be willing to put a quarter into.
Exactly. Yeah. I really did get that when I went to PPM. It was very interesting to see that very thing that you just talked about then. It was quite eye-opening, actually. Just have them all lined up in there, just asking you to play them, basically. And even the different way that they attract you to playing as well. Like, each era had a different way of doing that. So it was very interesting to sort of experience that. Yeah. So it's going to be pretty cool to see him do what he wants to do with his vision there for the Pinball Hall of Fame.
Yep. So if you guys out there happen to come across any architectural drawings of what this thing should look like, and I only stumbled across the article. It wasn't even something that a site that I regularly visit that had it posted. So if you come across any renderings, I'd love to see them. Send them our way. You can do that by emailing us at BlahCade@gmail.com. Or, hey, why not just go ahead and put it into the Twitter sphere and throw a little @ in front of BlahCade, so then we can see it that way. Or you can go ahead and follow us at that very address. You can follow myself. I am at Shut Your Trap, and Jared is at Jared Morgs. Then there is always, of course, the website you must go visit. That website address is BlahCadePinball.com/episodes. Because Jared's going to throw things like links for this very episode regarding what we were talking about with the red paperclip guy. So
red paperclip, we've got to get links to that and all the other stuff as well. That we got show timing notes and all that sort of stuff that we put up there. It's pretty much when I do post production, it's about the same time as recording the podcast, because I have to listen to the thing again and make notes about what the times and everything. So it's a bit of a process. I actually saw just before we close out the show, there's another podcast app service that's been released that is really interesting. It is a paid service unless you go with the free service, which would be okay. But this one is designed to distribute the audio file recording across the individual's computers. It's all web-based. And what it does is in your browser, you do the same thing as we're doing here with YouTube Live. So you have like a live session when you're recording. And then what it does is it actually records the audio to the individual's computer. And then when the session's done, it uploads it into a central Dropbox. And then the service does a whole lot of post-processing and stuff on the 3 recordings and audio syncs them and does all that sort of stuff for you. So you don't have to do a lot of post-production. And within the podcast itself, you can actually have a soundboard that drops stuff in, and you can do all your ads and like bump in, bump out the service itself. And it really does sound very, very nice. The paid version of it is $20 a month, but you get all the AI driven post-production and unlimited recordings and unlimited guests as well. Because I think that with the free version, you can only have, it would be you, me, and one other person in the podcast one time. So yeah, it's pretty nice. It's a pretty good service. So I'm trying to get the name of that. I'll drop that in there as well when I go and do post-production. But a lot of people are using it. They say it's pretty good. So yeah, interesting.
All right. Good stuff. Well, folks, as usual, thank you so much for listening. And hopefully we'll have, we managed to fill our time despite the fact that we didn't have any actual pinball news to discuss.
We're pretty good with that.
Yeah, we
we're six pros with filling episodes with stuff when there's not much to talk about.
So anyway, we always hope that there's some bit of news that'll drop during the week, and so cross your fingers that actually happens. But even if there isn't, you'll hear from again next week. So ta-ta, later out, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.